So Sarah, if you're around, please join me here on the stage. And so Sarah is going to talk about brand and storytelling and how these two go together. And Sarah is a brand storyteller, digital communications manager. Hello, Sarah, and the stage is yours.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. Let me go ahead and share my presentation. Give me 1 second. Let me know if you can't hear me or can't see my screen. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm very excited to be here today to talk about brand storytelling. Now, we've had some great sessions today where you've been learning a lot about storytelling and brand storytelling. These terms in and of itself are incredibly popular in the marketing world today, obviously. And when we take a step back and just take a look at those stories, we know how incredibly powerful stories are. We see that from the movies that we watch, from the podcasts that we listen to, from the books that we read. We use stories to connect with each other, telling stories over the dinner table with our family and friends. Stories also connect us to our colleagues and our communities. And stories, and this is the most important from a business context, also connect logic to emotion. And we've seen enough research out there that shows how emotion drives decision making. And that's where storytelling is so important to look at it from the business context. So today, I'm really excited to be talking about how to bring brand and storytelling together to really amplify your B2B marketing. And the brand part is so important that we're not just telling stories for the sake of telling stories, that we're really grounding those stories in who you are as an organization. So today, I'll share 5 tips with you that really connect the dots on brand and storytelling. The first tip, it's all about brand. Know your brand. Understand it in and out. Your brand defines who you are as an organization. It defines what you stand for. It also defines how you stand out among your competitors. So knowing your brand typically comes in the format of a brand platform. And use this brand platform as your North Star. And so your brand platform is usually comprised of several different elements to create who you are as an organization. Now, this can't be created overnight. This takes a lot of time to really dig into who your target audience is, dig into who your organization is, and how you stand out among your competitors. But I've listed out a few of the elements of a brand platform here, but they're flexible enough where you might have some of these elements and include others that are not listed here. But this is really about understanding your brand. I'd recommend printing out your brand platform, putting it on your desk somewhere or somewhere that you can visually reference as you're creating any of your marketing touch points to understand as you're creating those marketing outputs, are they rooted and do they resonate with who you are as an organization? So to dive into this a little bit deeper, I did want to share an example with you today of a brand platform. So the example that I'm sharing today is from Labyrinth Digital, and they're a digital marketing agency based here in Denver, Colorado. As they're founding their company, they worked with a branding agency, Masters of Chaos, to really define who they are as a company and who they want to be and how they want to position themselves in the marketplace. So your mission statement is all about your purpose, what you're aiming to achieve, and how you're going to get there. So the mission statement of Labyrinth Digital is to employ leading-edge data analysis to deliver customized, holistic, and realistic marketing strategies that drive profitable growth. They also have a vision statement. Your vision statement is that long-term view of where you're hoping to get to. The vision statement of Labyrinth Digital is deep diving into data to make marketing more intelligent. Values, these are your guiding principles, your moral compass, if you will, in terms of what you stand for and how you interact with your customers, how you interact with your employees, how you want to be perceived in the world. And so the brand values of Labyrinth Digital focuses on 3 elements: people, product, and ethics. So you can see here that their values are personal, insightful, and integrity. Brand personality, it's usually defined by a list of words that describe your personality as an organization and how you want to come across to your customers, to your target audiences. so you can see here from the example, the list of words that describe the personality of Labyrinth Digital is realistic, friendly, resourceful, dynamic, inspirational, proactive, detail-oriented, vigilant, spirited, empathetic. And with a brand personality, they typically have words that describe who you are, but it also typically includes words that you are not, in terms of you're not formulaic, you're not prescribed, not heedless. So kind of balancing out, what does that personality look like and what does that personality not look like? And this should come to life through those marketing touch points. And all of that brings us to that brand story and that narrative. So the brand story of Labyrinth Digital, we're analytical to our core. Honestly, we're just geeks about data. We come from a background of agency work and Fortune 500 clients. Over the years, we've helped those clients forge through the chaos of marketing using tools that were previously only available to those with large budgets, until now. As consumers use more devices and digital channels to communicate and shop, we've created an opportunity for small to medium-sized businesses to utilize the strategies and methodologies that capitalize on this behavior. Our approach is simple and straightforward. We get to know you, your business, and your customers. To do that, we look at all data sources, find the insights, and build customized, holistic marketing strategies. We use data and analytics to lead businesses through the ever-changing marketing landscape. Put simply, we make your marketing more intelligent. So it's a really nice summary of who Labyrinth Digital is. And I'm sure as marketers on this call today, you see a lot of yourselves in this description as well. And it covers a lot of who they are as a company. It talks about their passions, they're geeks about data. It talks about their experience and what they bring to the table. It talks about their target audience of who they want to work with and their clientele, small to medium-sized businesses. And then it also talks about how they work with those clients. They get to know their clients and their clients' customers and their business to really be able to bring together the most relevant marketing strategies for that business. And again, all grounded in data. And so using these elements of the brand platform, this should be your basis of how you kind of go to market in terms of how you develop content and for different formats across marketing touch points, that it should resonate with who you are as a brand. And I can't emphasize that enough. But as we move forward, we're going to talk through more of that storytelling lens. So the second tip here is balance the what with the why and how. So we're all good at describing the what. It's what we do. It's based in fact. It's easy to share who we are or what we do as an organization, our capabilities, our products, our services, what we offer. But we really need to use the storytelling technique of balancing that out with the why and how. And this goes back to a TED Talk by Simon Sinek titled Start with Why, How Great Leaders Inspire Action. I wasn't able to sit on the session earlier today, but I did see through the chat that I think this was brought up earlier. So it's great to see how cohesive these sessions are, or connected these sessions are. But this is a great TED Talk if you haven't seen it. It's a few years old already, but still very relevant and informative for how to approach marketing today. So essentially the whole concept that Simon talks about is that people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. He gives the example of Apple in terms of Apple has really honed in on how they do marketing and focused on their why. And the last part that I'll share about this is that the circle that he drew up on the whiteboard there in terms of what he's termed the golden circle. What is on the very outside of that? Most companies are able to articulate and communicate their what they do. Only some companies are able to get to that how. How do they create their services? How do they create their products? How do they work with customers, and answering that how question? And very rarely do organizations truly touch on the why. Why does this matter? Why does this product exist? Why does this capability exist? So again, really looking at, as you're creating content across those channels, whether it's thought leadership, whether it's blogs, whether it's advertisements, how are you balancing out that story of the what, the why, and the how, and starting to ask yourself those questions of why and how. Why does this matter to your target audience? How do you work with your target audience? How are you helping them be more successful? And this leads into the third tip. Oh no, sorry, I have an example here. Sorry about that. So I wanted to share an example from IDEO. They're an innovation company, and they have some really strong case studies on their website where they find that balance between the what, the how, and the why. So here's a screenshot of one of their case study. It goes much more in depth than this. It also includes a couple of videos. So also a great example of how they've weaved in storytelling into different formats and mediums in terms of using video, using the written word, to really capture that audience that they're looking to target with this case study. And you can see from the headline and all of these different pieces here, the headline, the subhead, the challenge, the outcome, they really start bringing it together in terms of why does this matter? So preparing an industrial leader for the digital future answers it right there in terms of to be successful, we have to, as organizations, embrace digital, embrace new technologies, and really prepare to be future ready. It also talks about the challenge and the outcome. So working together to design or to have a design thinking team to lead culture change across the organization, a suite of digital projects and services, and a mindset shift. And so talking about how they have worked together. It goes through this in more detail in terms of how IDEO and this global manufacturing firm work together as a partner to develop this solution and this outcome to be truly effective. And with that, that leads us into our third tip here. So again, another storytelling technique, your customer is the lead character. I'm sure this has been mentioned already in today's session. If you're looking up any content around storytelling and how to apply storytelling to your marketing efforts, it is something that is honed in on, it's consistent, that your customer is the hero of your story. Your customer is the lead character. Your customer is that main protagonist. It's all about your customer. So the key takeaway here is that it's not about you. It's not about your organization. It's not about leading with your products and your capabilities and services that you offer to that target audience. It's truly leading with your customers' pain points and challenges. It's truly leading with what their interests are, what they need to be successful in their role. And so making sure that that is upfront and really addressing that upfront rather than leading with your own organization. An example that I'd like to share here is actually from HubSpot. So I'm sure there's lots of you on the call today that are familiar with HubSpot. It's a CRM tool. If you're not, so I was taking a look at their website and their social media channels to see how they really apply their brand across different channels. And although they're a product company, their brand is all about equipping and empowering their customers to be more successful. And their customers and target audiences include marketing leaders, sales leaders, customer service leaders. And so everything that they create is really enabling their own customers to be better at what they do. And so even on their website, they have a full section dedicated to resources, blogs, educational content, certifications, training resources, quite a few around the content marketing space to help marketers, sales leaders, and customer service agents to do their job better. So when I was taking a look at their LinkedIn page and scrolling through, I was actually a little bit surprised to see that I did not see a single post that talked about their product, that talked about the features of their product, the functionality of their product, why their product is better than other CRM tools in the marketplace. And so when I started scrolling through, I just took a quick snapshot of some of their more recent posts. So obviously with these first two, directly targeted at that marketing audience, that it's something that a marketing community would resonate with and be passionate about. They also share tips in terms of what's the most important traits of remarkable copywriting. They share the 6 tips or 6 most important ones to help with copywriting efforts. They share data in terms of the open rate of sales emails and then start asking questions and providing strategies to help their community implement more ideas into increasing that open rate. And the last one that I'll share is more resources specific to sales leaders about mapping out 8 questions that your own sales representatives could be asking to help identify their prospects' pain points. So again, not really having any posts centered on what they do, how they might stand out from their competitors, all focused on their community and their customers. So this is one way to apply that storytelling technique across your channels. And this leads with tip number 4, be authentic, be human. I did sit in on Joe's session that was happening before this, and this definitely connects with simplifying how you communicate. That it doesn't need to be overly technical or include a lot of words to make you sound smart. just be authentic, be human, be who you are. In this day and age, we can't be something that we're not. We can't promise something that we're not able to deliver. And with living in a pandemic, everything is so virtual and digital that everyone is craving that human-to-human connection. They want to see real, authentic content. So an example that I'd like to share here is actually a sales outreach email that I received from Elliot at Meltwater. And Meltwater is a PR tool. So he sent this email at the beginning of February of this year. And honestly, admittedly, I'm sure like most of you, I don't pay attention to a lot of sales emails. I'm too busy trying to answer other emails. But this one caught my attention, and he had a really great hook, that first sentence, in terms of what I would be interested in. So immediately starts off with Arcadis, the company I work for, had a great year in the press and social media in 2020, generating a lot of media coverage relative to the previous year. So first off, congratulations. It definitely attracted my attention in terms of something that I would be very specifically interested in. And then he immediately follows that up with that he's put together the sample year-end report, a resource that could help me do my job better, that could help me see insights better, to be able to bring that back to my business and see how we want to adjust our strategy for this year. So again, kind of leading with a hook, capturing my attention on what would interest me, and then following up with a resource that I could use. Now, admittedly, I did not answer. We're all very busy, didn't answer this. So he did follow up about a week later. So I also wanted to share that email. So again, he leads with a hook. He definitely captured my attention in terms of making sure the blow didn't slip through the cracks, as I realized it's crunch time for teams to gather data, present their end-of-year reports, and finalize their strategy for 2021. Now, he didn't necessarily know this, but the timing was impeccable. So he must understand his target audience well enough to know that this was a very real time for us, that we were looking through data from the past year to not only be able to compile a report for our executives and show those high-level view, but also look at how we are, what's working well, what's not working well, how do we want to adjust our strategy for the new year. And then after that hook of a statement, again, following up with a resource that I could use, something helpful that would be helpful for my job. He pulled a comprehensive audience analysis report and end-of-year brand review for Arcadis. So something that really attracted my attention in terms of, hey, this might be interesting for me to see, to be able to use in my own role. So he didn't necessarily mention the Meltwater product in terms of a product demo or immediately jumping into the features and functionality and why it might be better than the platform that we're currently using, but really using a hook in terms of what would resonate with me and following up with resources. And as you read through these, I thought these were very straightforward, very human in terms of it felt very personalized, even though it might have been automated, but still felt very personalized, still felt very authentic in terms of the tone that he used when writing these emails. And this leads us to our fifth tip. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So there are two takeaways in this. I'll switch to the next slide. So I've just captured a general customer journey map here to emphasize the key takeaways here. So the first takeaway is really about, if you look at all of these touch points, it's not necessarily about going back and revamping all these touch points so that they have a brand storytelling lens to it. It's how did all of these touch points work together to share that brand story? And so there might be touch points that lend itself to more of that storytelling approach, to including some of those storytelling techniques, such as making sure your customer is the lead character, making sure you're balancing out the what with the why and the how, as well as incorporating more of that human authentic voice. And there might be others that you want to dial up some of the messaging from your brand platform in terms of your mission, your vision. What are you aiming to achieve? And so kind of looking at these as pieces that the larger piece of it, or the whole of it, is greater. And then the second takeaways of that is, where do you start? It's really looking at starting small. taking maybe one of these touch points, analyzing it in terms of where are you at, what does that look like today of where it's developed, and then applying that brand storytelling lens in terms of, does it truly resonate with who you are as an organization? Does it communicate who you want to be as a brand? Does it start applying some of those storytelling techniques? And if it doesn't, take some time to adjust and update that format, that touch point, and then start A/B testing. As marketers, we're all crazy about testing it and seeing the data and analytics. Start doing that A/B testing. You can do A/B testing on websites and the website landing pages, and emails, email subject lines, email copy, social media even. So start testing, see what's working well, see what's getting you more result in terms of engagement or open rates or increasing that open rate. So really just starting small and taking it one touch point at a time and seeing what works and moving on from there. So that sums up the presentation and the information that I wanted to share with you today. So thank you again for having me.
Boom. Thank you very much. Let's talk about examples. So who is doing this stuff really well? Who is somebody that we can look towards for inspiration?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to refer back to some of the examples that I gave in the presentation, but I think IDEO does a really wonderful job at their case studies in particular. So if you're looking for inspiration specific to case studies and how to infuse more of that how and why into case studies in particular, take a look at IDEO. If you're looking to maybe change up the way that you do email marketing, take a look at HubSpot. I know that they have some great email marketing as well as their social media channels. So HubSpot is a great inspiration. And just look for other B2B examples. I think some of the ones that Joe shared were great. I referenced GE quite a bit on their Instagram. They have quite a compelling Instagram for such a B2B company. So look at the industry that you're in, your competitors, as well as some of the best-in-class practices. So looking outside of your industry, seeing even what the B2C world is doing and seeing if there's any examples there that you could even apply to your own efforts.
Mm-hmm. So I think some of the storytelling and brand principles, if you're a category leader at HubSpot, you can do a lot of things that a small business cannot do. So for instance, if you go to HubSpot or MailChimp or one of those category leaders and you look at their website, they present their case as if they're the only one in the world doing what they're doing. And if they're a category leader, that's fine. They can get away with it. They have so much money, it's ridiculous. Now, if you're a challenger brand, if you're a small potato in a B category against giants with deeper pockets, it's different, right? So any examples from like under $10 million companies that is like killing it with story and brand?
Oh, that's a good question. I'd honestly have to go back and research that a little bit more in terms of some of those low budget or just under the 10 million mark examples. But that's a tough question. It's hard when you have to be a little bit more scrappy, you have to be a little bit more creative. My recommendation around those companies that are the kind of the small fish in a big pond is to really, when you're understanding that audience, really focusing in on your efforts so that you can't have all of those marketing touch points. What are the marketing touch points that are going to work for you? And so maybe it's not about social media yet. Maybe it's about focusing on your email outreach campaigns or sales outreach campaigns. So kind of picking and choosing what touch points are going to be the most effective for you in terms of getting your name out there. And starting from there. Great question.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Sarah. What's the best place to follow your work? Where are you active on social?
Yes, I'm active on LinkedIn. That is one of the main social media channels that I'm on. So please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn.
Beautiful. We'll do that. Thank you so much again.
Yeah, thank you.